Minecraft looks like a stable, polished game, but deep down the code is held together by duct tape and prayers. And if you push it just a little too hard, reality starts to crumble. Here are 46 ways to completely break Minecraft. You know that blocks are supposed to break if their support is gone? But what if you bully the game until it forgets to check? This is called update suppression. By intentionally flooding the game code with millions of events in a single tick, you can force the server to give up on calculating logic. This lets you do impossible things. You can slice portals in half. You can place flowers on non-dirt based blocks. You can create illegal blocks that shouldn't exist. It is basically gaslighting the game engine into letting you do whatever you want. Resources are supposed to be finite, but Mojang left a hole in the code that basically gives you creative mode. If you push a slime block and an observer into a rail at the same exact time, the game gets confusing. It thinks the rail has moved, but it also thinks the rail has broken, so it does both. This creates an infinite stream of rails, powered rails, and detector rails. It is one of the most broken mechanics in Minecraft, and Mojang refuses to fix it because the technical community would literally riot. Speaking of duplicating things, why stop at rails? If you want to delete a mountain, you don't need to craft TNT. By using a dead coral fan in a wall, you can trick a TNT block into igniting without actually being consumed. This allows you to build world eaters. These are massive flying machines that delete every single block in a chunk. It completely breaks the concept of mining. Why use a pickaxe when you can just delete the dimension? Sand, gravel, and concrete powder obey gravity, but gravity is optional if you know how to manipulate dimensions. We know that blocks like sand are considered entities when in motion. If you time a piston to push sand into an end portal, exactly as it is about to fall, the game sends the sand into the end, but keeps a copy in the overworld. You can turn one block of concrete into a million blocks of concrete overnight. The economy on your server isn't just broken, it's shattered. Ever wondered what's on the top of the nether bedrock? There's no need to use your imagination to answer this curiosity. You only need an ender pearl and a couple of ladders. That's it. But don't forget to bring some pistons, obsidian, TNT, and trapdoors. Now find a bedrock that is at Y level 127 and place a ladder below it. Look above and hold W and just throw your ender pearl. I should have bought more ender pearls. Don't make the same mistake as me, folks. Always bring spare items. And if you throw the ender pearl correctly, then you should come up to the roof. There you go. Okay, so how do I go back? Don't worry, the extra stuff we brought is exactly for this purpose. Bedrock is supposed to be unbreakable. That is the one rule of the game. But redstone engineers don't care about rules. By causing a race condition in the game tick, you can abuse the mechanics of TNTs and pistons. When the game tries to figure out what happened, it deletes the block the piston was supposed to face if it had failed. If the piston is still facing upwards, well, goodbye Bedrock. This opens up the nether roof, the safest and most broken place to build in the entire game. If using TNT and pistons is too much work, there's a lazier way. You just need the dragon egg. If you drop a dragon egg and immediately unload the chunks, the data gets desynced. When you reload the area, the egg tries to solidify. It doesn't care if a block is there. It doesn't care if that block is bedrock. It just overwrites it. Gravity is the ultimate griefing tool. Sticky pistons are supposed to be sticky. It's in the name. But in Java Edition, they have a personality disorder. If you power a sticky piston for exactly one tick, it extends and retracts so fast that it leaves the block behind. It spits it out. This technically counts as breaking the intended physics, but it is so useful that it became a feature. If Mojang ever fixes this, redstone is dead. This is the darkest way to break the game. Do not do this to your friends. Every chunk has a limit on how much data it can save. If you fill a chunk with too many packet-heavy items like chests filled with written books, you create a chunk ban. You can break the chests while being in another chunk. As soon as anyone enters that chunk, their game creates a packed overflow and disconnects them. They are stuck in a login loop forever. You have physically broken their ability to play the game until an admin deletes the chunk. The chunk ban has a little brother called the book ban. If you fill a shulker box with books containing complex Unicode characters and break the shulker and leave it as it is, then whoever picks that shulker will be kicked because the data is too big for the single tick. The player gets kicked instantly. That player will never be able to play the game until the admin removes that shulker from his inventory. Minecraft creates a world around you. When you leave, the world stops. That is how it saves performance. But you can break this rule. By constantly throwing items through a nether portal, you force the game to keep the chunks on the other side loaded. You can have farms running, furnaces smelting, and machines working. Even if nobody is on the server, you are effectively turning your single-player world into a server that never sleeps. Duplication is cool, but what if you can have the same item in two places at once. This is called item shadowing. By manipulating the game code during the exact tick an inventory closes, you can trick the server into thinking an item is both in your hand and in a container. If you use the item in your hand, the one in the chest updates in real time. It is quantum entanglement in Minecraft. You effectively create a ghost link that defies the laws of data storage. You think enchanting is luck? To a computer, luck is just a math equation, and math can be solved. By analyzing the pattern of dropped items or particle effects, you can reverse engineer the random number generator seed. That is a base of RNG crackers, which can be used to manipulate the RNG. You can predict the exact moment a mending book will appear. You can predict exactly where lightning will strike. You aren't playing the game anymore. You're reading the Matrix. Plants have a growth cycle. They need time, water, and light. Or you can just scream at them until they grow. This is zero ticking. By moving the block under a plant back and forth faster than the game can process, you force the game to update the plant's state. The game panics and assumes the plant has aged, so it forces it to grow. Mojang tried to patch this, but the community just found new ways to break it. Fast travel usually means the nether. You can literally be in two places at once with a stasis chamber. If you throw a pearl into a bubble column, it floats there forever. It never hits the ground. The moment that trapdoor closes, the pearl lands. Imagine being 10,000 blocks away, and with one click from your friend, you're home for dinner. It breaks the concept of distance entirely. Inflation is a problem in the real world. In Minecraft, we have the opposite problem. We all know zombified villagers can be cured, but did you know that you can do it over and over again? By repeatedly infecting and curing the same villager, you start getting more and more discounts until the prices hit the floor. You can buy glass for 1 emerald, turn it into panes, and sell it back for 3 emeralds. You are printing money. Mojang patched the stacking in 1.21 by limiting it to some trades. But if you are on an older server, you are the Federal Reserve. Physics say two things cannot occupy the same space. Minecraft says, hold my beer. The game has a rule called max entity cramming. The default is 24. If you put 25 entities in one block, the game panics and starts suffocating them to restore order. You don't need a diamond sword to kill a warden. You just need 24 minecarts and a little push. It creates a black hole that deletes anything that touches it. Walls are solid. You can't walk through them unless you have a boat. Boats have a weird hitbox that acts as a vehicle. If you roll a boat into a corner and dismount, the game struggles to find a safe spot to put you. Sometimes it decides a safe spot is in the other side of the wall. You can phase through bedrock, dungeon walls, and secret bases just by parking poorly. But seeing through walls is even better than walking through them. X-ray hacks will get you banned, but X-ray glitches are vanilla. If you push a composter into your own head using a piston, the game thinks you are inside a transparent block. It stops rendering the stone around you, but keeps rendering the caves and lava lakes. You can see every diamond, every dungeon, and every stronghold within render distance. It is the oldest trick in the book, and it still works because the lighting engine is broken. Fuel is annoying to gather. Coal runs out, lava runs out, but carpets are eternal. Similar to the rail duper, if you stick a carpet to a slime block and shake it violently, the game duplicates the carpet entity before it checks if it should break. You can feed this directly into your furnaces. You have infinite energy created from nothing but a glitch in the Matrix. Thermodynamics does not exist here. Light updates cause lag. We know that. But what if you break the light engine so hard it stops working? By overloading the server with light updates in a specific tick, you can stop lighting from propagating. You can create light level 0 blocks that are fully visible but spawn mobs. This breaks one of the basic rules of Minecraft, which means you can make better farms. Difficulty in Minecraft is supposed to be a setting. You choose easy, normal, or hard. But if you know how the mob cap works, you can turn hard mode into peaceful mode without ever opening the menu. The game only allows 70 hostile mobs to exist per player. If you capture 70 shulkers or zombie villagers and put them in a chunk that is lazy loaded, the game thinks the mob cap is full, so it refuses to spawn any new zombies, creepers, or skeletons anywhere in the world. You have effectively lobotomized the game's difficulty engine. Emeralds are the currency of Minecraft. They are supposed to be rare, but by tricking a tripwire hook into thinking it is being broken by water and shears at the same time, the game drops the string that forgets to remove the block. You can trade this string to Fletchers or fishermen for infinite emeralds. You haven't just broken the game, you've caused hyperinflation that would destroy a real economy in seconds. And while we're breaking the game's economy, you should break that subscribe button. It's the only glitch that actually guarantees you good luck in your next mining trip. In Java, the world has a border. In Bedrock Edition, the world just gives up. This is called the Stripe Lands. When you travel millions of blocks out, the floating point precision of the game engine starts to fail. The world stops generating solid blocks and starts generating stripes of reality. If you walk between them, you fall into the void. Physics doesn't apply here because the math itself has stopped working. Walls are solid. You can't walk through them unless you lie to the server. If you break a block and the server lags slightly, your client thinks the block is gone, but the server thinks it's still there. This is a ghost block. You can desync reality to walk through walls or hide in floors. It is the ultimate secret-based defense because the door literally doesn't exist for anyone else. But this can't be repeated effectively to multiple blocks. For achieving this effectively, you'll need a command block. The game rules say you can only have one type of protection enchantment. You have to choose. But in version 1.14.2, Mojang accidentally allowed you to stack them. If you downgrade your world, enchant the armor, and upgrade back to the latest versions, you keep the god armor. You become mathematically invincible to almost every damage source in the game. It is a forbidden item that exists only because of a developer oversight. Water flows. That is its only job. But using update suppression, you can delete the block holding the water without telling the water it needs to flow. You can create floating aquariums and logic-defying elevators. It looks like a visual glitch, but it is a physical violation of the fluid engine. We talked about piston breaking, but Bedrock Edition doesn't have that glitch, so we use nature. Dark oak trees have a unique growth code that forces branches to generate downward. If you plant them in a specific pattern, the tree branches simply overwrite the bedrock. You just use a sapling to destroy the hardest material in the universe. Sometimes the oldest glitches are the most effective. Entities that hold items like donkeys and llamas are notorious for breaking the game. You need a friend for this glitch. Bet that will be on for you. When someone disconnects from the server while riding on the donkey, and during this, the other person takes out the item from the donkey's inventory, the server saves the donkey, but your client thinks you still have the items. The moment the disconnected person rejoins, the donkey's inventory will now have the duplicate of the item. You can duplicate entire inventories of shulker boxes. It is the reason most Anarchy servers have disabled donkeys entirely. Some Minecraft blocks and entities like chests or shulkers stop rendering when you get far enough away. From a distance, they can become completely invisible, meaning players walking by might not see them at all. This means you can hide bases or traps using this trick. Until someone gets closer, everything just suddenly appears. The Wither is supposed to be the hardest boss in the game. It flies, it explodes, it destroys blocks. But it has one weakness: bedrock. By summoning the Wither in a specific configuration under the bedrock ceiling, you can trap its hitbox inside the unbreakable blocks. It can't move, it can't fly, it can't shoot. You have turned a world-ending threat into a helpless Nether Star vending machine. You can automate the endgame boss with a few blocks of dirt and some math. X-ray mods will get you banned, but the game has a built-in wall hack called the debug screen. If you open the performance profiler and navigate to entities, you can see a visual pie chart of every mob loaded in your render distance. If you turn your head and block entities slice gets bigger, there's a base with chests hidden in that mountain. You can find dungeons, secret bases, and caves without ever placing a torch. You're using the game's own diagnostic tools to cheat. Creepers are annoying. They love to explode and destroy your houses, but you can make your house completely unbreakable by using stairs, water, and building your house in a specific way. Explosions won't damage it. Even a charged creeper won't be able to break through. Design your home and it becomes unexplodable. But darkness is a core mechanic. It hides ores and spawns monsters, but you can delete darkness without mobs. By opening the game's options.txt file and changing the gamma value from 1.0 to 100.0, the lighting engine breaks. Caves are fully lit, the night looks like day, the nether looks like a bright red playground. You never need to craft a torch again. You have effectively removed the horror element from the game. Netherite blocks are supposed to be nearly indestructible. Even TNT can't break them. But if a piston is pushing a netherite block at the exact moment TNT explodes around it, the game glitches. If the explosion and block movement happen in the same tick, the netherite block just pops out. Potions are expensive. You need gas tears, blaze powder, nether wart, unless you play on Bedrock Edition. If you put a potion in a cauldron and place a pointed dripstone with water above it, the game logic gets confused. It tries to fill the cauldron with water, but instead it fills it with more potion. One potion of strength becomes infinite potions of strength. You can have permanent buffs for the cost of a single dripstone. Swords do about 7 damage, axes do 9, end crystals do roughly 120 damage. By placing obsidian and an end crystal at a player's feet and detonating it instantly, you can kill a fully geared player in less than a second. It bypasses the combat entirely, breaking one of Minecraft's core aspects. It isn't a fight, it's a deletion. This mechanic is so broken it spawned an entire subculture of PvP called Crystal PvP, where swords are useless. Villagers have a cooldown on their trades, but if a villager is in a state of panic or unloading, the logic gets weird. In some versions, interacting with a merchant that is crossing a dimension and rendering out breaks the lock mechanic. You can trade the same stick for emeralds infinitely without them ever running out of stock. You're exploding them for profit, but having infinite money is useless if you don't have infinite life. You spend hours grinding for protection for netherite armor, you feel invincible. But the game has a loophole that makes your armor completely useless. Harming potions dealing magic damage completely ignore the armor calculation formula. It doesn't matter if you're naked or wearing a tank. 2 splash potions of harming 2 deal 12 hearts of instant damage. You can delete the most geared player in the server in less than a second. It effectively breaks the progression system of the game. Why mine diamonds when you can brew death? Projectiles have velocity. If you stack hundreds of arrow entities in the same block using a dispenser, the game adds the velocity of the explosion to it at once. This creates a shotgun blast that deals thousands of hearts of damage in a single tick. You can one-shot the Wither, you can one-shot the Dragon. You are turning the physics engine into a weapon of mass destruction. For 10 years, lava was non-renewable. Once you scooped it, it was gone. But the dripstone mechanic broke thermodynamics. If you place a lava source above a pointed dripstone and a cauldron below it, the cauldron fills with lava. You can turn one bucket of lava into an infinite ocean. You never need to mine coal again. You have infinite, high-efficiency fuel forever. Gravity is fatal. If you fall, you die. But the server forgets things when you leave. If you log out of the server while falling and then log back in, the game resets your fall distance calculation to 0. You can fall from the build limit, log out, log in, and land like a feather. This might be the most simple game-breaking feature Minecraft has ever introduced. Villages have a population cap. They stop breeding when there are too many people, but you can gaslight them. By putting the parents in a specific alignment where they can see the beds but cannot pathfind them, the game thinks the village is empty. They will breed forever. You can create a singularity of entities that produces infinite iron farms and trading halls. You are bypassing the loss of population control. Obsidian is the hardest block to mine. It takes forever, but the end dimension has a rule. The spawn platform must always regenerate. Every time an entity enters the end, the game spawns 25 blocks of obsidian. By trapping a Wither exactly where the blocks appear, it breaks the obsidian the millisecond they spawn. You can generate 72,000 obsidian per hour just by throwing trash into a portal. You are printing the game's toughest resource from thin air. One end crystal deals massive damage, but because they are entities, they don't collide with each other. You can stack 100 end crystals into a single pixel. When you trigger one, you trigger them all. The explosion is so violent it can lag the server, or delete an entire base in one tick. It is a homemade atomic bomb. We call Minecraft infinite, but computers cannot handle infinity. If you go far enough, you hit the world border. But if you break past that, you hit the 32-bit integer limit. At this point, the math that holds the game together fails. Hitboxes detach from bodies, movement becomes impossible, the game crashes. You haven't just broken a mechanic, you have reached the end of the simulation. You've beaten the code itself. Those were 46 ways to completely break Minecraft, from simple glitches to game-ending exploits. Some of these will be patched, and some are here to stay. And if you want to see amazing secret myths that you didn't know about Minecraft, click the video on your screen now.